Well, hey there, everyone. It's Lunch with Mal, and you are all live with me, Mal. Unless, as per usual, you're not live and you're watching a replay, which is totally okay. All right, I am just going to do the usual setup stuff. Fire this thing up on Facebook so I can theoretically see who's commenting. And it's so weird. I'm doing this all on a laptop. I do not normally do this on a laptop. Um, all right. Oops. Where'd the other window go? That was weird. Okay. Hey, folks. All right. If you're here, say hi. Happy to see you. Um, I am, as I said, in Canada, of all places, and back home where I grew up. And this is the first time I've been home for Canadian Thanksgiving, which is on Sunday/Monday, in like 24 years. So I'm super stoked about that. So I'm gonna do my little everyone. Hey, sweet swoon-worthy romance reads. How are you today? Copying my thing so I can put a little message up, and then we'll dive into stuff. I saw that we got a lot of new people who look like romance authors, just based on, not like you look like romance authors, but just based on what we can see in profiles and whatnot. And I'm guessing a bunch of that's from the Writing Gals. So thanks for coming by. So unused to doing this like on a laptop. Normally I have like my big setup going and everything's just a breeze. Now we're talking all ads, romance authors, and Q4 plans. Perfect. Okay. Everyone comment is made. Now I can focus back on how things are going. Oh, fine is never good. No one has ever said fine and actually felt like things were going fine. That's my take, at least. Although I'm sure some people do actually mean fine when they say fine. But yeah, so I'm home in Canada. It's so weird. I haven't lived here for, almost, I guess, 23 and a half years now. And I still call this home a lot of the time. And I've actually lived more of my life in the States now in Canada, which just recently turned over. And that feels weird. One of the things other thing that's kind of wild is it is cold here. Like it's what, like October? I have no idea what time is anymore. October 5th, and it feels like December in Boston. Um, but yet it's bright and sunny. And like that's one of the things I've really missed is how sunshiny it gets here, even in the wintertime. Boston is overcast, especially this year. Oh my God. It was recently one of the news stations announced that out of 16 weekends over summer, 13 were raining this year. So yeah, it's a lot. Hey Jill. Hey Maggie, how are you doing? I always like enjoy seeing your post, Maggie. You always seem so like excited about everything that's going on. And it seems like a lot of really good things are going on for you right now. So that's awesome. All right. So so I hesitate to say it, but we are well under 90 days from Christmas, and we are less than 2 months from American Thanksgiving. I know, right? Like, oh, you're really welcome, Maggie. I know that those are like panic-inducing statements to make, but I think they're definitely worth thinking about, and like thinking about as authors, what are our plans for Q4 of this year? Now, hopefully, you kind of have a rough idea. Like I think a lot of us, we make plans in January, um, but we kind of focus on releases, and we don't really think about sales and some of the details of publishing and like how we're filling our release calendar slash like sales calendar toward the end of the year. And then we get to this point, or actually, hopefully at this point, you stop and you think about it, and you don't think about it. You don't wait to think about it till November, because like a lot of us are going to be at 20 books. We're going to be busy, in November. And like a week and a half after 20 Books Vegas ends is Thanksgiving, Black Friday, Cyber Monday. And then from there, we roll right into Christmas. So this is the time to plan out what your sales strategy looks like. So what are you doing for Thanksgiving? What are your Christmas plans outside of gift giving and family get-togethers and that sort of thing? And I think it's really important that we start to think about that now. There is traditionally, if you focus on advertising and that could be paid advertising with something like Facebook or AMS ads or BookBub ads or something like that, or it could just be like doing things to generate buzz, like running some sales and getting some swaps, or doing some of the paid newsletter stuff like romancing the reads, or some of the other ones, ENT, or if you're writing fantasy, or fantasy sci-fi, and even romance sci-fi, Reign of Reeds and Book Barbarian are both really good options as well. So whatever you're doing, this is a time to start thinking about how you're going to be doing sales, how you're going to be doing your marketing through November and December. Because if you do marketing well in November and December, January will generally be your best month of the year. So you ramp up through the end of the year, and then January just sort of is a boom for you, where all of those reads start to pay off. If you're in KU, the reads start to pay off, and the read through starts to pay off as well. So I'm curious if anyone here has plans for what they're doing in that time of year. Does anyone have any big sales? Do you have releases planned out? Are you doing things like dropping an omnibus edition, a box set? I'm on the they're called omnibus edition train, so I always call them that. And I'm like, not everybody knows what I'm talking about. They're box sets, but they have no box, right? It's digital. There's no box. And I know technically you're supposed to call them boxed sets, but that's just too much syllables and enunciation for this time of day, because it's 10 in the morning. And yesterday, so our flight to Canada was supposed to leave Boston at 10:30 in the morning or something like that. And then the day before, Jill looks and they've rebooked us for 6:15 in the morning. Yeah. That was not an intentional yawn, but that was well timed. And so 6:15 a flight out at 6:15 in the morning means we need to get up at 2 a.m. to get ready for that flight, because it can take 45 minutes to get to the airport from where we live. And sometimes there's road work in the middle of the night, So it was an event. And we got here, I think we stayed up until 9 o'clock. So by Saskatchewan time, we had been up for 21, 22 hours, and of course had the full day of travel and everything. It was a fun day, but man, I just was spitballing while I was waiting for someone to say what their marketing plans are for the fall, and no one has said what their marketing plans are for the fall. I'm like, is this thing on? What are you guys doing for the fall? Surely somebody has to have something in mind that they're doing. A BookBub ad. That's amazing. That is fantastic. Do you mean like an ongoing ad that you're running through their regular advertising thing, or like a featured deal? I mean, either one are good. I'm just kind of curious. In fact, you're saying first one a long time makes me think you mean a featured deal. So that's pretty awesome. Jody, you gotta think of something. All right. Well, that's good. Admitting you have no plan is the first step to making a plan. Let's see. Todd's finishing his covers. Nice. I love that. Group promo from Danica. October 23rd. That'll be great. Let's see. Who has 2 book fairs? Miranda's 2 book fairs scheduled. 4 newsletter swaps and the first in series free for holiday season. That is awesome. Bonfire Night release. Is Bonfire Night Sam Hain? I'm guessing that's Sam Hain. Let's see. Trying for a long time. Had them before. It's like there can be droughts in getting BookBubs. Ironically, I one time took 50 of my books wide and got no BookBubs, and then put them all back in KU and got BookBubs unless they're in KU again. That's right. No plan is the plan. It doesn't work like that. Book signing at 20 books. Yeah. Crepes are a good plan. I like the idea of crepes. I'm here for the crepes. Yeah, the book signing is going to be good. Yeah, it is weird about getting the book clubs once I was back in KU. Yeah, the book signing is going to be really good. I was like trying to decide what I'm going to do for the book signing, um, because I have a lot of stock, but I don't have like really cohesive stock because, I always try to buy, if I'm going to go to a signing, I'll have like, just for example, I'll have like 10 of book one, two or three of book three, or sorry, two or three of book two of book two, and then like one of the additional books in the series. And sometimes you'll sell the additional books in the series, and sometimes you won't, and you'll sell out of book one and two before you sell out of everything else in the series. So, and every now and then people will come back. Like a lot of times at something like 20 books, you'll have people that come back to your table that were there the last year, and they buy more books in your series from you after they've read the first ones. So you end up with like weird things like no copies of book four and like 3 copies of book five, and that's kind of where I am with a lot of my inventory right now. And so, but I've done a couple of Kickstarters, and I always over order for my Kickstarters, just because if someone like changes their mind or something gets lost in shipping, plus like I want to have some for myself. And sometimes I order my orders for my Kickstarters before everybody else has filled in their, the survey, and in the survey, they might choose to add something. So I end up with a bunch of those. I'm like, this is perfect for 20 books, the signing of 20 books. I'm going to take all my Kickstarter overstock leftovers and bring that. So I'm gonna have a good swath of that, and it's gonna be really cool too, because all of those books I'm bringing to the Kickstarter, or sorry, to 20 books for my Kickstarter, you can't get them anywhere else. Like this is the only place you can get these editions of the books, and they even have content in them that is not available anywhere else too. So I feel like that's gonna be a really good move for sale. I'm kind of thinking that for physical in-person stuff, I should do that all the time. My physical in-person books should always be special editions that you can't get anywhere else. I think that would really help close the deal. If like there's like these in-person editions that don't exist any other way. So I think that's my plan going forward. Oh, you haven't gone before, Todd. Oh, that's really cool. We'll get to meet up. Who else was thinking of this? Who had this idea first? Jody was. Man, well, I just thought of it now. So you're ahead of me, Jody, on that. I think it's a fabulous idea, because it's all about like, how can you close the sale there? I know it feels kind of icky to say things like that, right? Because we're like, well, we're supposed to be all about the art, but at the same time, we also want to get paid so that we can keep making art. So there is an element of like, you need to close the sale. And if you can close an in-person sale, that's awesome. Some of the things that you guys should think about. Oh, Kelly. Yeah, we had a whole form for people to fill out, Kelly. But you can also just message me too if you want, if you can't find the link for the form. Maybe I'll bring your book to 20 books if you're coming. Yeah, exactly. You're right. There is that other angle. It's not just closing the sale, it's getting people to come, being like, I'm selling things here in person that there's no other way you can get them. So come on down, when they might have been on the fence or something like that. I'm optimistic about Rave. The first year was kind of anemic. That being said, I sold out the first year, but I also didn't bring a ton of books. I was deliberately trying to sell out the first year, so I didn't have to bring an additional suitcase back, because it's $50, like an additional $50 for a second carry-on or second check bag. I am bit by bit learning to pack more frugally, sparely. I guess sparely is probably the word. This trip we're on right now to Canada, I brought like 15 days worth of clothing in one carry-on with 3 pairs of shoes. So I feel like I'm up in my game here a little bit. But yeah, I think thinking about your in-person events this fall is not a bad idea. There's a lot of holiday fairs that are going on out there, and depending on what you write, you might have the exact right thing, especially if you write sweet romance. That could be a great thing. Although you never know, like maybe there's some October type, like Halloween type fairs going on, that if you write horror or more thrillers or something like that, you could sell your books there. I do feel like, even though so I got distracted by Jody's hilarious comment. 15 pairs of shoes for 3 days worth of travel, only wear one pair throughout the trip. I have been known to do this exact same thing. Okay, maybe not 15 pairs for 3 days, but certainly more shoes than I need. I wear costumes a lot, though. A lot of costumes have specific shoes you have to wear with them. But as far as like hand selling your books at fairs and signings and whatnot, very rarely are you gonna make enough money to book signing to like pay for the books, the table, your travel, hotel stay, and your time. Like unless you do really well, you're just not going to do that. Now, like Kevin J. Anderson, I don't know if you guys know who he is. He's a sci-fi author. He wrote the screenplay, or his credit is on the credits for the screenplay for the Dune movie that just came out, and for the sequel that's coming out soon. He has co-written a lot of the Dune books. He's written Star Trek books. He's written a lot of his own books in his own IPs and a host of other things. I was next to him at the very first rave they had in Vegas, and I was like, I just sold out of all my books. I'm looking over his table where he still got a bunch of books. He's like, that's great, Mel. I just sold a $600 special edition. And I'm like, well, damn. Like when you're at that level, yes, you will make your money back. Absolutely. And the other place where you might make your money back too is if you can go to well-traveled, well-attended events like Comic-Cons and stuff like that. And or getting witchy with it, like you should sign up for that next year in Salem, Massachusetts, if you can, because that place was the most packed book signing I've ever seen in my entire life. Yeah, I think I was in one of the bundles with him too, Todd. You're packed and above you. Does that mean that you're on an airplane, Monique? Yes, definitely watch later. I love that. I love that. So yeah, think about those things. Look for opportunities. See what's out there. Plan a Thanksgiving sale. The week after American Thanksgiving, sales are trash. Like people see really low dips. And part of that's because the people that advertised heavily in the week and a half leading up to Thanksgiving fill people's Kindles, so all the readers are like, I don't need to buy any books because I just bought 7 of them last Friday. And that's why for a lot of folks that week after Thanksgiving is a slow week. So be one of the people that's filling people's Kindles, not one of the people that's like, why am I not selling any books right now? So keep that firmly in mind. Like you want to be doing that. You want to be running ads. You want to be setting up like a Black Friday sale that you start like a week early or something like that to start, pulling people in. Because if you start a sale and you do a bunch of swaps and whatnot, you want to make it so they can act on that during Thanksgiving, American Thanksgiving week. For those of you who don't live in America, Thanksgiving is on Thursday. The 23rd, I think, right? Yeah, Thursday the 23rd. So that week from November 20th on till about the following Monday on the 27th, you really want to be pushing that week. That's a great week to be pushing for sales. And then you're going to see diminishing returns probably on Sunday and Monday, but Sunday, Monday are still really good, busy days. And then the following week from about the 28th on is going to be a slow week. So sort of like be prepared for that. And then things will kick up again in December. So that's something that I really do feel like you should plan for. Like throw book 1 on 99 cents in one of your longer series. Launch a new omnibus edition if you have one waiting in the wings that you haven't launched yet. And that's something to think about. As you're writing a series, as you're maybe writing multiple series, you want to like plan out your schedule. And if you find that there's places where you're going to have gaps, you got a family vacation, you've got school starting for the kids, and it's always a crazy time. I don't know, your parents are coming to visit you, something like that. And it's going to throw off your writing groove for 3 weeks and space out your releases more. That's where you do an omnibus edition and launch your omnibus edition. So you can kind of like keep things going with that. That's where you see if there's any anthologies you can get into and just throw like a 10K story into an anthology and they get something to announce and to talk about and whatnot. Like you always want to be looking for opportunities to have things coming out, to have new releases, because it gives you things to mention in your newsletter. The Amazon promotion system prefers new books over old, generally speaking. That's not true for things that sell really well. Things that get really good conversion, Amazon continues to favor those forever. But you do want to think about about how you're filling your release calendar. And that's like, I think, a really important thing to map out through the year, like what your release calendar is going to look like, and then how will that line up with your ability to produce, because we all have limits and we need to remember those. Oh, train in Poland. That's exciting, Monique. That's like that's a different thing from what one normally hears. Um, but the fact that we have internet on trains, and in airplanes and stuff like that. Yesterday we were flying on Air Canada of all things, and I was able to watch YouTube videos. I was able to stream YouTube, um, which I'm grateful for, because there were no TVs in those seats. It was a 3.5 hour flight from Toronto to Saskatoon, and no TVs in the seats, and no snacks. Like, snacks were extra. They did 2 drink services, but no snacks. And I'm just like, you don't even give me a freaking cookie, like nothing. Like, it was $1,000 ticket. Like, come on, give me a bag of chips or something. So we are never flying. Jill can hear me from the other room, or she's watching too. She's laughing. We're never flying Air Canada again. We're done. They're dead to us. And not only that, it caused us to research other airlines that can get us from Boston to Saskatoon, which is Saskatoon, like, kind of sits like north of the Montana, North Dakota border, about 3 hours into up north into Canada. Actually, 4 hours up into Canada, for anyone who's curious. But yeah, we found alternate routes now that are actually significantly cheaper than flying Air Canada. So we'll never fly Air Canada before. Exactly, Danica. Give me my snacks. Also, the teenager beside me also needed snacks. Like, it wasn't just a me thing. You gotta feed the hungry teen before they go feral on you. It's a problem. So I think a bunch of you guys said that you do have things planned out for this fall, and I love that. And I've been talking about, like, getting together a plan for leading up to Thanksgiving, but then you also need a second plan for leading up to Christmas. A lot of authors talk about things like turning off your ads at Christmas time. Don't turn off your ads at Christmas time. Don't stop promoting at Christmas time. And I got to tell you, before I started, like, teaching people how to run ads and teaching people about marketing, I was always like, yes, everybody, please turn off your ads at Christmas time. Oh dear, I am the only one running ads in my genre. Or, I mean, it was never actually, probably back at the very beginning, it might have been pretty close to that. But, I was like, oh yeah, the fewer people running ads, the less competition I have. Now that I'm, being altruistic and all that, not just be like number one over here. Not to say I ever was number one in science fiction. I came close. I think I hit number 4 in all science fiction a couple times. Maybe I hit number 3 once or twice too. Anyway, that was back when we had author rank, back in the good old days. But anyway, now I'm like, I want to help more people, and so I'm very much like, don't stop advertising. And also, like, it's not just like authors aren't just competing against ourselves. We're competing against every other person running ads at Christmas time, right? So people are going to buy stuff at Christmas time. And, wouldn't you want it to be your stuff that they're buying at Christmas time? So it seems kind of like a no-brainer to keep running ads. If you turn off your ads, all you're going to do is guarantee that people buy someone else's stuff. So, run your ads, do your promos, do newsletter swaps with your author friends, get in anthologies, get the word out, run awareness ads, see if you can do some in-person events. Because in-person events, not only are they in-person events that get you selling books, and if they're local, if you can do local in-person events, those are the ones you can make money at. It's the ones where you have to travel that kill you. So try to do those. And if you can't, even if you only break even at those, you're going to learn about your readers. Because when you hand sell books, that interaction when you're telling people about your books will help you learn what people like. You'll see where their eyes light up. You'll see the things that you say that close the deal, versus the things that cause people just to be like, put down the book and walk away. And that will inform all of your other marketing. It'll inform what you talk about in newsletters. Like, take notes about the things that you said that sealed the deal. Like, literally, like, keep a notebook, because you'll forget. And then use those for your advertising. Use them for your newsletter. Use pictures of you with your books, use you with maybe some readers that come by, take a picture yourself too. Like ask if you can take a picture of you with them and put it in the newsletter. Most people love that sort of thing because I know most authors are like, even if you're pretty good at newsletters, you're going to have days where you're like, dear God, what do I put in my newsletter this time? Like you've got no idea, right? So, these are great opportunities for you to come up with things like arrange your books under the Christmas tree, um, line them up with pumpkins and take pictures, all sorts of stuff like that. Have a pile of leaves, raked in your yard and stick your books on it. I don't know, all sorts of stuff. Like use this changing season, use the events, do a cornucopia of your books, and then use that for your newsletter, use that for marketing. There's lots of creative ways that we can like connect with the seasons and the changing seasons to come up with ideas for how we're going to market things, for just things to talk about. Because a lot of times, it's just being consistent in our communication with our readers versus like just disappearing for months at a time. You want to keep your newsletter warmed up. You want to keep people opening it so that because people's newsletter software, the software they're running, whatever their mail app is, not people's newsletter software. That's on our side. It's the other side, people's mail software. I think I might have said it wrong. Anyway, whatever people use to read their email pays attention to what they open and they don't. And things that they don't open ever tend to disappear from their view. So the more you can kind of keep your stuff interesting and keep it engaging, like things like the best head. I mean, don't overuse this. Obviously, you get to use this like twice a year, maybe 3 times at most. Is I made a terrible mistake. That headline will get people to open. I guarantee it. Another great way of like keeping people engaged with your newsletter is to ask them questions that do not have a yes or no answer. To say things, this is like one of my go-tos. You've probably heard me say this before, but like show XYZ has ended. What are you all watching to fill this hole in your hearts? And if you're like sci-fi, you could do something like, I just rewatched Firefly for like the 17th time, and I can't get over the fact that this show is gone. What do you guys watch to like fill the hole in your heart, the Firefly shaped hole in your heart? Or I'll say like the Serenity shaped hole, because Serenity is the name of the ship. And all the Firefly nerds, all the brown coats. Who are my brown coats, right? You're out there. I know you are. I know Kelly's a brown coat. Watch her say like, no, Mal, no, I'm not. But anyway, like, the people that are like into it will tell you. And like the last time I did that, I got like 200 responses with people telling me what shows they're watching. And so I actually made like a poll. I turned it into a poll. I'm just like, look at all this data we got. Like, hey, if you guys are looking for new shows to watch, here's what people suggested. Here's the most recommended and all sorts of things. So, you totally do that. Ask for pear recipes in my latest newsletter. That's awesome, Kelly. I would never have thought to ask for pear recipes. Are there pears in your books or something? Do they feature in your books, or is it just like random? Like, I've got a bunch of pears. What should I do with them? Because that's fabulous. Either one of those things is actually fabulous. I have Facebook open on the side, Kelly, so I can see whose names are in the comments. So yeah, I knew you. I was like, there's no way that Kelly's not a brown coat. But then watch, just because I say it, Kelly's be like, no, Mal, I don't like Firefly. And then we wouldn't be able to be friends anymore. So I'm very glad that you said that. Random desperate outreach. That is perfect, because it's like you being you, right? And that's like that's what our readers want from us. They want us being us. They don't want us to be these aloof, ivory tower authors. They want people that they can actually talk with and relate to and stuff like that. So totally good stuff. So who's got what they think is like a crazy marketing idea for the fall and for the Christmas season? I'm here for it. Lay it on me. I do feel like I harvested all of these whatevers from my garden or fruit trees. What should I do with them? I feel like that's actually a fabulous thing. Or like you're writing sci-fi, you're like, what plants do you think we should bring to another planet? I love giving plants as gifts. What plant gift do you think I should give as you're approaching Christmas or something like that? There's all sorts of things that you could do to generate conversations with your readers. And trust me, when one of your readers replies to your newsletter, you have now guaranteed that for 6 months to a year, their mail software is always going to make sure that they see your emails because you replied. So it knows whenever you reply in your mail software, it marks that sender. So if I'm sending to you and you reply to me, then your mail software will mark me as a safe sender. And it will well, there's like two levels. There's like the ones I manually mark to safe senders, and there's the other ones that it sort of infers are safe senders because you communicate with them. But it'll make sure that they see your emails. Random in-character skit ideas. Oh my God, Kelly, I have to see it. But Kelly, you're coming to 20 Books, right? I'm positive you told me that you were, but I also know that you were on the fence as well. So now I can't remember which was the most recent communication. So I'm waiting with bated breath now. But random in-character skit ideas is really cool. I like that idea quite a bit. And I think readers like that sort of thing quite a bit too. Yes, cool. I'm going to do this year. I'm going to do a cool cat suit. I didn't wear cat suits at all last year, but it felt weird to be like standing with a bunch of authors who were wearing cat suits, and I wasn't wearing a cat suit. So I will have cat suit this year. I actually brought 2 cat suits with me to Canada, and one of them is fleece lined, and it's like necessary. Although it's probably really warm where you are, Kelly, but it is not warm in here in Swift Current. It got down to like minus, either last night or tonight, it's going to be like -4 Celsius or something like that. And back home at Boston, it's in the middle of the night last night, it was 20 degrees Celsius. That's like 20 degrees Celsius, for those of you who are American, is like 67, and -4 Celsius is like 28, 27, something like that. So it's like freaking cold. I don't know why, but it's like December here already, except the leaves are all still on the trees. I think this weather is surprising all the foliage here as well. But it is really neat to be home in Canada. Although I'll tell you, one thing that drove me bonkers today was because I'm in Canada, the Canadian government passed legislation some months ago, just a few months ago, that basically social media outlets have to compensate news agencies whenever those news agencies articles get shared, which means that if someone in the States like shares a news article on Facebook, it's not going to show up for you in Canada. It's going to say that Facebook's blocked the content. And I'm just like, wow, this does not feel like freedom of information. This does not feel like freedom. It feels, I didn't expect it to be like this because I knew this was happening. But I didn't really anticipate what it would feel like to basically have a place where you think that you're going to see information and have it blocked by government legislation, because that's effectively what's happening. I mean, you could say it's being blocked by Facebook, but Facebook is basically saying, like, we can't pay an unknown amount of money. Like, we can't budget for an unknown amount of money to be paid to these people, because someone's going to make a malicious bot that's just going to spam news articles everywhere, and they're going to cost PayPal a lot of money, and they can't do that. So I'm like, business-wise, I understand why they've made that decision. But it's weird being in a situation where you're like, wow, government legislation is making it so I can't see news. And they don't even show a link to the news. I feel like it should have a link to the article. So you could at least go read the article on the news agency's website, but they just block the whole thing. Turn the outside taps off. Wait, who said this? Yeah, you totally have. I mean, to be completely honest, Kelly, in Boston, I have one outside tap that I never turn off. And the reason why is that the shutoff valve is completely inaccessible. It's in the roof in the basement. I know where it is, but there's a hood vent blocking it. So I leave it on. It's there, and it gets down to like -20 Celsius overnight for probably about a week where we live, and that pipe has never burst. It's just like A-okay. All right. Microclimates. Yeah, you guys have an awesome microclimate in Victoria. I'm jelly. All right, well, I am a little weary because of the crazy travel day yesterday. Also, I woke up at 4 a.m. today because I normally wake up at 5 in Boston. So I feel like I actually got an extra hour of sleep. I convinced my body to sleep 1 hour later. So hopefully tomorrow I won't wake up at 4 a.m. But so I've already been up for 6 hours, in Saskatchewan time. but I'm like not super energetic quite yet. So I don't know if I have a whole lot more to talk about this morning, but I do really want you guys to really think about your promos for the fall. I think you got to think about what's your big American Thanksgiving promo period, and what's your ramp up in December look like? Ads, box sets, sales, whatever you got to do to try and get people going. Oh, and don't be afraid to literally send out a newsletter on December 24th or December 25th if you have something, if you have like an offer to make to your readers, like a discount, or you're doing a release, or you have a special surprise short story or something like that. I almost always email on major holidays. And they've always worked really well for me because I feel like so many other people aren't. And there's a lot of people out there who, don't have family to be with, or maybe, for a lot of people, maybe Christmas is a day like any other where they share it with the same 2 or 3 family members that they're normally with, you know? So even though there's like maybe an event in the morning on Christmas Day, Christmas afternoon, they're just sort of chilling, and they might want to sit and read a book and relax. And if they pop open their email and there you are saying, hey, I got a book for you, they're going to read it. So keep that in mind. Keep in mind that there are people who actually might be lonely and looking for something to do on those holiday days. I don't actually kind of makes me terrific to think about that, but like send them some good vibes, and you'll do really well. You could do a lot of sales in the week between, or even just like put a lot of books in readers' hands in the week between Christmas and New Year's, especially. So, yeah, they need to escape from family while still being present. Yes, Kelly. I actually say that in my newsletters. I'll be like, as Uncle John said one too many awkward things around the dinner table. Do you need to like slip away for a while, take your mind off that? Here's a story, kind of thing. Jody says, started marketing around Christmas last year. My sales shot through my low height roof. That's awesome. Yeah, people are hungry. A lot of people get furloughed for a week between Christmas and New Year's. They're just chilling. They went to visit family, and visiting family means sitting around the living room doing nothing while their family's also nearby, whatever it might be, right? Like there's a lot of downtime actually. Oh, that's awesome, Hattie. Yeah, I would totally send something out if my birthday was on the 26th, right? Like you deserve that. having a Christmas birthday like that. But that's awesome. I'm glad you guys have plans. I'm glad. Hopefully, I've given someone some inspiration for something that they can do. Also, I thought I would drop a little note for everyone that let me pop this open in another window. So I've shown Solaris a few times already, and probably a few people here are words have suddenly escaped me. A few people here probably already in the alpha for it. And well, I still have a few more things I want to fix with what's currently out there. A couple of people have found like a couple of like corner case bugs that I think are going to be pretty unlikely that other folks are going to run into. I'm actually ready to sort of like soft launch it as a beta. And so it's of course going to it's not a free beta, but it is like lifetime access. And there's a discount right now too. So if you sign up for all the things I currently have released, the ROI calculator, read through calculator, and pricing planner, it's $20. You have it for life, and you get all of the non. There's like two segments to what Solaris is ultimately going to be. One of them is like you plug in the numbers, it gives you data, tells you things about your sales and read through and whatnot. The other one is the future thing is it pulls down all the reports automatically and then does it without you plugging in numbers. That's going to require ongoing payments. But if you're willing to type in your sales numbers and examine your read through manually, you'll have that free forever. So it's a lot like the spreadsheet that I've always had, but it's going to give a lot more analysis. And as I enhance the read through tools and as I enhance the ROI tools and all that, you'll get all of those enhancements as part of that one-time fee. So if you go to solarisoptima.com, I'll put it in the comments here. Solaris Optima. There it is. You guys can check it out. There is a free element in there. It's the ad score calculator, which has been out for a while in various forms, but this is a slightly nicer form. I have work to do on everything. This is never going to be a done product. I'm going to be continually improving it and adding new things to it. I actually have a 5-year plan right now of all the things I want to put into it, and enhancements I want to make and stuff like that. But you can check it out. Like I said, there's a free thing, or you can sign up for some of the paid things. other than one bug with the ROI calculator, where if you advertise something other than book one, it'll throw an error. But if you're advertising book one, or if you just say you're advertising book one, the ROI calculating system will work fine. But I'm really happy with it. It's been put through its paces quite a bit by my alpha testing team. There are still bugs, so you can reach out to me on Facebook if you encounter bugs, or there's a link to a Discord server where you can join in and report any bugs or thoughts or suggestions there too. Or you can wait. It's fine. You don't have to jump in right away. But I figure if anybody's keen to play around with it, you can dive in and do that. I'm doing this as a very soft launch because I just want to get more people in there and using it. So I'm not sharing this very widely yet. The only place I'm going to be mentioning it is just here on these lives until Vegas. We're actually going to have a vendor day booth talking about it. But this is your chance to get in early. I got to read some more comments now. Kelly, has a turkey prep stressed you out? Here's a crazy, hilarious sci-fi involving large birds causing mayhem. That's awesome. That's a really good idea. I need to we have there's an old folks home across the street from us, and they have a lot of trees out front. They have this large park area out front, and they have this one tree that grows buds really early, like late February, early March. And last year it filled with turkeys. And this is not a tall tree. It's maybe 12 feet tall. It's more like a overgrown bush practically. And it was so funny watching these turkeys fly up into this tree, which is not the most, it's surprisingly graceful, but also not graceful at the same time. And then the tree was just festooned with these massive black birds, and it was just all bowed down and bending because there were so many of them on there. I feel like that's something I need to incorporate in a story at some point, or just take a picture of it and just be like, "So you eating turkey today?" kind of thing. Anyway, I need to find out what type of tree it is. It might be a Russian olive. I don't know. I've never actually gotten close enough to it to see what it is. It's sort of over on the side of their property, and I've never gotten more than 30 or 40 feet away from it. But maybe I should try and find out this year. But it's hilarious just to see those birds in there. All right, folks, thanks for hanging out with me. It's always nice to do this. I'm sorry I've missed a few weeks. I will be back again next week. Again, I'll still be in Canada next week, but since it's 10 a.m., it's easier to get this going on in the morning before all the family festivities take place. And if you are in Canada, I hope you have a fantastic Thanksgiving weekend this coming weekend. Get to see family, get to hang out and have some good times and eat the turkey. By the way, for those of you who are in America and you're curious what the difference between Canadian Thanksgiving and American Thanksgiving is, the answer to that question is Jell-O molds. Canadians have Jell-O molds. Americans do not have Jell-O molds at Thanksgiving. And I say that knowing that I'm wrong, and that there are Americans who have Jell-O molds, and there's Canadians who've never even imagined having a Jell-O mold for Thanksgiving. But that's my experience, the difference between the two. All right, folks, I'll see you later. Have a fabulous day. Have a fabulous weekend, and I'll see you next week. Bye-bye.